Okay.
Here we go. Tonight, we have all listened to Jim Rohn's CD on Build Your Network Marketing Business. So we're going to discuss that. I made some fill-in-the-blank sheets. This way I could be sure everybody really did listen to it and hopefully got something out of it. And you might have had to listen more than once to fill in all the blanks. But anyway, let's talk about it. This is this, I think, is one of the best CDs I've ever heard. This man is the man who started Herbalife, which I know you all have heard of, a great network marketing company. He has since passed away, but his philosophy still is with us today, and many of his followers have taken up, his cause and are replaying. You can find some of his stuff on YouTube. Some of it has a visual with it of him actually, and some doesn't. But I don't know if y'all love this as much as I did, but some people buy a bunch of these and give them to all their new prospects. And I've probably bought 30, and I do still have a few. I gave one to Heather. We've given one to one of our other daughters. But anyway, this is him sharing about his philosophy. What is important in network business, network marketing, according to what he told us? What is important in network marketing? Anybody can answer.
Your philosophy. Your
personal philosophy is exactly what's important. And he talks about something happened to him when he was 25 years old. Who remembers what happened to him when he was 25?
His parents were involved in a network marketing business, and he was helping them set up all the time.
Yes. He was kind of like being a preacher's kid, You know how it all works because you've been to church so many times.
Right.
Shelley, for some reason, I'm seeing you twice. Once
I know I saw my name was up there. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Maybe I'm taking the place of Becky.
Maybe so.
I don't think Becky's going to get on.
Okay. All right. Well, she'll just have to listen like a couple other people. I love his early philosophies that changed his life. What is one of his earliest philosophies that he learned? Becky Farmer?
Yes, ma'am.
What is one of the early philosophies? It's number 1 on your page 1.
Profits are better than wages.
And once he understood that, what happened?
Got rich.
He got rich.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. He got rich. And he says wages can make you a
living,
but profits can make you a
fortune.
And I thought it was really cute what he told about if you have kids, how they could even be an entrepreneur. Shelley, what did he say about that?
That kids have 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent.
Right, one to ride.
Oh, that was funny.
You want me to go on?
That's pretty cute. Well, and he talks a lot about capitalism. What is his belief about capitalism? Capital
belongs in the hands of the people.
Right, and not the state. In our current political life, what does that say to you? Did you relate that to our current political situation?
I thought about, how we can't count on Social Security to take, even though that's really our money. We can't count on it being there because it's in someone else's hands and not in our control. So we have to take control of our financial future.
Right. And there is a political party that believes, there's Lisa, glad you were able to make it, Lisa. There is a political party that believes that we're just not smart enough to take care of all these things ourselves. That we need to depend on the government. But that's not true capitalism, is it?
No.
And then he tells us a story about most of us, I'm probably one of the exceptions, but most of you all are doing this Plexus business part-time. And he talks about you can work it part-time, 10 or 12 hours a week. And what is this phrase that he would tell people when he first started working? Lisa, what did he tell them?
He says that, oh my gosh, I'm working full time. Wait a minute, I got it here, hang on. I'm working full time on my job, but I'm part time on my fortune, is that right?
Yes. And he says
something like that.
Yeah, that's what he said. And he said that it won't be long until he's working full time on his fortune. But that right now he's working full time on his job. How long did it actually take him? He said how long it took him to be able to make as much or more than he made on his full-time job. Do you remember?
6 months.
6 months, less than a year. It was less than a year. And then he said his second goal was what?
To make twice as much money working part-time as he was making on his full-time job.
And he said, when you say that to people, do they want to hear? He says, would you like to hear my story? And do they want to hear the story?
Yes.
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 And he said, why did he not want to go full time?
Because then he wouldn't have a story. He would lose his story.
Yes. Basically, remember he talked about if you make $1,000 full time, nobody wants to hear your story. But if you're making $1,000 part time, everybody wants to hear your story, right?
That's right.
Right. Okay.
Well, and he talked about how $1,000 a month is a game changer for a family. I mean, that's a big game changer.
Yes, it is. I mean, and especially when it's part time, right?
Sure, yeah.
Full-time would be poverty, but part time could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Even less than part time, than $1,000 a month could be a game changer for some people. And then he talks a lot about it's not what happens to you that determines your future. What is it that determines your future?
It's what you do about what happens to you.
What you do about it. And then he talked about the wind. Who can explain what he said about the wind and sailing?
I have this on my office wall. It's actually a quote by Dolly Parton, believe it or not. It says, you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails.
Right.
And that's kind of what he was saying, is that the wind blows on every one of us. You know, we're all on the same planet. We all have the same circumstances at one time or another. The only thing we can change is how we adjust and relate to what happens to us.
That's exactly right. You think she got that from him, maybe?
Probably, or he got it from her. I'm not sure. She's pretty old too.
How old is she, Becky?
I don't know. She's old.
She must be a lot older than me to be old.
Well, you know, that's a relative term. The older I get, the less, that's not really looking really old to me anymore.
You're exactly right. Age is very, very relative. Okay, he says, what if you've made errors in the past? What do you need to do about those?
Correct them.
Correct them. When can you do that?
Any age.
At any age. You can do it in any 2-year period, 5-year period. You can do it if you want to. What does he call correcting the errors of the past? It is called
opportunity.
Opportunity. If you don't know that, then you can't do it, right? What did he say, how he learned more and learned to correct his errors of the past? Do you remember? This is not on your sheet.
No.
I made a side note about it. That's how come I really remember. It said he read books and went to seminars. You may or may not remember that. How did he relate? He said, what are the next 10 years going to be like? How did he explain that?
I think he said the same as the 10 years before.
Yeah, he did. I think basically there's only ups and downs, and things are going to happen. Like, I took it like life is going to happen. You know, things are, it's going to be another 10 years.
And he also, remember, he related this to the seasons. What happens after fall?
Winter.
And after winter comes
Spring.
and after spring comes
Summer.
and after day comes
Night.
And can we change any of that?
No.
No. There's some things we cannot change, but there are other things that we can change, right? It's very difficult to change any of those things, but there's things we can change. He also talked about after recession comes. Do you remember that?
Expansion.
After recession comes expansion, and after expansion comes
Recession.
recession. It's like the cycles of life. If it's good now, there's going to be a bump in the road, right? After there's a bump in the road, like we have had and are still having, it's going to smooth out and be better. We can be almost certain of that. What happens, what has to happen for us to have change?
We have to change.
We have to change, yeah.
Will that happen if we just wish it was better?
No.
No. Do we want to wish for less problems?
No, because problems make opportunities.
That's right. We need to wish instead for what? Instead of less problems, what should we wish for?
More wisdom.
More
More
wisdom
wisdom, that's right, yeah.
and more, this is number 12, more wisdom and more
Skills.
skill. That's right. And I love what he says about, in number 13, the law of averages. He says, if you do something often enough, what appears?
A ratio.
Ratio. And he compared this to a sport that my husband's been watching every night for the last week almost. What sport was that?
Baseball.
Yes, he talked about batting averages. You know, when a hitter hits how many people that when he gets out, I don't know anything about baseball, so I'm just figure out what I want to say here. In other words, tell me about batting averages and how that applies to what he says right here.
Well, if you hit batting average is done, if you hit every third time you come up to bat out of 10, then you have a 300 batting average, which is really good in baseball. So, you know, he applied that to network marketing, that for every 10 people that we speak to, if we get 3 out of 10, then that's like superstar. And so even one, and then he started talking about, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, and then maybe after a very extended period of time, we will get, 3 out of 10.
Right. Nobody gets 10 out of 10, do they?
No.
I've looked at my list of potentials of people that I don't really know, but that I've met. And, I've got their names written down and I've looked at them. And so far I'm batting 0 on all those people, but there's barely over 10 names on that particular list. And I'm thinking, if I can get even just one of those, I'll be doing really great. I'm not going to feel bad about not getting the other 9. In fact, I'm going to keep working on them until they tell me, no, don't call me again. Don't ask me about this. I'm not interested. Until they tell me that, I'm going to keep working on it. Now, he said that when you are new, you can make up not getting necessarily 1 or 2 or 3 out of 10. How can you make it up if you're going to compete, which we don't do, but if you're going to compete against somebody else? Remember what he said about that? Who remembers?
You make up numbers that you lack in skill.
Say that one more time, Becky. You kind of stalled out.
I think that was Shelley.
Shelley. Shelley's the one said that. What did you say?
I said you make up in numbers what you lack in skill.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Remember, he said if he said something like if there was a contest, and let's just make it this way. Lisa was great and always got 3 out of 10. And he said if he was new, he could beat Lisa. How could he beat Lisa? You remember what he said? He didn't say Lisa, but
He would ask 20 instead of 10.
you know, I think he said 100. He said 100. And if he just got 1 out of 100, how many would he end up with?
1.
You know, I said that wrong. I'm sorry. If he got 1 out of 10,
He'd have 10.
and he would beat Lisa or whomever. He would beat somebody that's
If you got
better.
1 out of 10 instead of 3 out of 10.
And like
Right.
in a week's time, let's say the top producer gets 3 out of 10 in 1 week. But how are you going to beat that person? You're going to talk to 100. And even if you just get 1 out of 10, you're going to end up with 10 because you talk to more people, right?
Right.
Right.
I thought that was a great illustration. And then I really, really love number 15, the law of sowing and reaping, which is from the Bible, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with. The sower was what?
Ambitious.
Ambitious. The sower had excellent what?
Seed.
And what do we compare that to? We're the sower, and what do we have that's excellent?
Our products.
Our products are excellent. But there's 3 scenarios that happen to the seed. Do you all remember this story from the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
I figure everybody was pretty familiar with it.
But I love it compared to our business. It is so great. I mean, it really it just makes so much sense. You know, it can give some relief when you say, oh, you know, the birds just got them.
I know. It helps me out because I'm on those days that I get frustrated and go, you know, I just really thought that this person was going to be, you know, a rock star. And I'm like, well, the birds.
It's right.
The birds got them.
Yeah.
I love that. I really, really do. And it helps you realize it's the law of averages, right? It's just the law of averages. The birds are going to get some. And what does he say when that happens? How are you supposed to respond or not respond?
I love it. You're supposed to say, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. The birds got them. Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? See, that can be our little inside joke. You know,
right. Isn't that interesting? Wait,
And
I love this when it says you can chase the birds, but if you're chasing the birds, you leave the field.
I
How
love that.
And
we are
don't
chasing.
sign up for that class.
That's right.
Exactly.
We're chasing those people who don't really want to work the business, and we're chasing them. And when we chase them, we kind of leave the rest of our team.
That's right. Instead of chasing the birds, what do? We keep on
Sowing.
sowing. The law of averages will work for us. And I thought this was so funny. He said there's only really 9 or 10 what? 9 or 10
People around the world.
really nasty people in the world. But what do?
Move around a lot.
They
Really nasty people.
Yeah, there's really only 9 or 10 really nasty people in the world. They just move around a lot.
Hey, can I say something real fast? Elisa,
Yes.
I know Elisa can hear us. Hey, Elisa, if you'll get on your phone instead of on your computer, I think you can see us because I know your phone has a camera.
Yeah,
If you click onto your phone, I think that you can see us too. But if you want to try that, but you can leave your computer going because I see Shelly's got 2 screens going here. So I think you could try that. But anyway, I just wanted to say
Well, Shelley doesn't have 2 screens
Well,
now.
I have another one down here that says Shelley.
Oh, do you? I don't see that one.
Oh, I see two.
Okay. She did have 2, I know.
Oh, maybe it was one earlier.
Okay, number 3 on that same page. The seed, when the seed falls on the rocky ground and the soil is what?
Shallow.
Hello.
Is that something you created? No, it's not of your making. And what happens on the first hot day?
It dies.
It withers
And dies.
dies. And you thought, sure, you remember this illustration about John, a guy named John? Who wants to tell us about that? I thought that was hilarious.
I don't remember it exactly, but I remember him thinking that John would last a week, and then he didn't even come to the second meeting.
That's
And
right.
then, the birds got him.
That's right. That, don't sign up for that class, right?
Right.
Okay, let's look at this last page. Page 4. We're making a lot faster time than I expected us to. The answer is in the deal. Some just don't
Stay.
stay. Can you solve that problem?
Okay.
It's kind of like trying to do what?
Rearrange the seasons.
Rearrange the seasons. But the secret to the ambitious sower was he kept on
Sowing.
sowing. He had to discipline his what?
It's disappointment.
His disappointment. You didn't set up the setup. I love that. You didn't set up the setup. And number 6, if the seed falls on thorny ground, what happens then to the seed?
They grow, but then they choke out.
They get choked out and they die. Now, he talks about the thorns. What are the thorns?
Distractions, cares.
How does that compare to our business? What are distractions and thorns in our business?
Day job.
What, Lisa?
That darn day job. No.
That's
You hear
true.
me? The day job. Yeah.
Yeah, for some of mine that have gone away that were, seemed that I really thought were going to make it, it was they lost their desire, they lost their drive, or they lost some customers and they got discouraged, and then they just got distracted by maybe another opportunity that they thought they'd like to do more, or, it's various things.
Right. He said, what did he say to John when John said he couldn't make it to the meeting? I thought this was a cute phrase he said to John.
Yeah, he goes, "Why not? You're just part-time."
That's right. Just part-time.
Oh, yeah. I didn't hear that part.
Don't let little things cheat them out of big opportunities. Don't sign up for the what?
Why?
Why is this? He says it's a why
Why?
is this class. Don't sign up for that. And so the successful, ambitious sower does what? Number 7.
Keep sowing.
Keeps on sowing.
Keeps on giving the invitation. And what happens to the story if you keep on giving the invitation?
Becomes more powerful.
It becomes more powerful. And he says it always will. Some of the seed always will fall on good ground, and some of the seed always will grow and be successful. And he talks about 30%, 60%, and 100%. Who can explain that? I love that. I was talking to Beth and Heather about that today. Shelley, do you remember that part? The 30, 60, 100?
No, I don't, because I actually have it blank.
Okay.
Yeah, that part.
Becky Farmer, what about you?
30, 60, and 100. It's I kind of compared it to the story of the talents in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to be content with just doing the bare minimum to make enough to pay for their products. Or some people are going to want to work hard enough to make enough money to pay their mortgage. I want to be diamond, so I'm going to do 100.
Right.
And it may take me 3 years or 4 years or whatever, and that's God's timing, and I need to be content with that. But you also, if you want to do 100, then you better be doing 100, because if you're not, if you do 30s, then you'll get 30s.
What about if you know somebody that's a 30 and you believe in their heart they could be higher than that? What are we supposed to do about that?
Oh, that's the struggle. The hard part.
Well, what are we supposed to do?
I think that we are supposed
That's
to.
what I'm hoping you guys will help answer when you come.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to train and encourage and do the part that we're supposed to do. But again, like he said earlier in the CD, that you can't drag them along, because if you do, you're leaving your flock, you're leaving the field to continue sowing.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So in other words, we run with our runners. I don't remember if that was in the CD or not, but you all have probably heard the phrase, run with your runners. All the people you sign up are not going to be runners. I have over 40 first level people. Some have already dropped out, they're gone forever. Not all those 40 people are active. I mean, I could be diamond by now if they were all active. If they were all 100%ers, I would be diamond by now, I assure you. And early on, I mean, I didn't really know much what I was doing. I wasn't a very good leader. I didn't do a very good job, or some of those people might have come a little higher. But it's all about growing personally, right? Becoming a better leader yourself. And the quicker you all do that, which I believe you're in the process of doing that, or you wouldn't be on this call. And it's easy to say, well, Heather and I didn't have that opportunity at the beginning, and truly we didn't. But that's why we're so excited about you all, because in my way of thinking, I mean, we're not the best there is for sure, but we're sure trying really, really hard to help you all be better leaders. What does he say, number 8, about getting a customer? What does he say about that?
Hey, Lyndon, I want to go back to this thing about being a leader in the beginning. I think y'all were fine, but and those of us who really wanted it could really dig in, and some of our people could dig in on their own if they wanted to do this. But
exactly,
I think part of what I've had to do as I've grown is I've had to forgive myself, because in the beginning I didn't have the skills, or I didn't do some things right, or I was trying to manage everyone, and I'm having to forgive myself.
Yes.
Because and move on, and it's like, exactly. Okay, and learn how to run with my runners, and
exactly.
To me, that's the balancing act, is running with your runners and not feel like you're neglecting your other people.
Exactly. You want everybody to come to the race, right?
Right. You want them all to come to the race, but they're not going to. So.
Well, some aren't even going to come when you invite them.
Right.
But when the ones did get there, you can give them some water and give them some instructions and show them how to do it. But they can still choose to do nothing or very little. Get started, make one lap, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to get them up and pull them and drag them along with us?
That doesn't work.
I've done that, and I think it's taken away from the growth of my team.
I agree. Amen. Me too.
Yeah, I know Becky was kind of discouraged when she called me and got her first white line. And I told her, that's the law of averages. You're not going to keep them all. You're just not. And he said the secret to wealth and fortune is taught in the Bible. We just learned about that, right? And he talked about service to others. That is the way that we're really going to get where we need to go, is if we are trying to serve other people. And I don't feel like I've done a very good job about this, but I'm working on doing better. And this 7 laws of leadership that Laura is leading me and Heather and some other people through, which I mentioned to you all today, I would like for you to buy that book, and we'll go through that book as well. It is very, very revealing as far as weaknesses in yourself as a leader. I mean, you just, and it's been very revealed to me. all of us are not alike. As you know, Heather's very bubbly and outgoing and will accept all the dump from everybody. You know, Heather said, why are all these people coming to me? And I said, because you signed up for that class. I said, I didn't sign up for that class. Not that, you know, I don't want to help people. It isn't that. But whoever signs up for the class is going to get all the homework to do. But anyway, and we maybe y'all are old enough, I think that you are, to remember John Kennedy's famous phrase that he said when he was president. What was it?
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
That's right. That's right.
But that was before I was born. But
you've heard it.
I still know it.
I was actually in high school when he was president. Let's look at number 10 because we're going to run out of time in about 3.5 minutes. I thought this was very hilarious. Organizing people and getting people to work together is challenging, but it's very rewarding. What did he say? What did he compare getting everybody to go in the same direction? What did he compare it to? Trying to herd
cats.
Cats. Anybody ever tried to herd cats? I've never even had cats. Trying to herd puppies would be comparable even to cats, but I understand cats kind of have more of a mind of their own than dogs. And he says one of the powers of working together is shared what?
Goals.
I don't remember it, but I'm thinking vision or goals or dreams.
Let's see what I have.
He said it was testimonials, and we're really, really good in Plexus about that, sharing testimonials. And then he talks about promotions to, you know, reward and recognize people on your team who are doing something. He said promotion pays what kind of money? Staggering amounts of money. And he talks about how the company comes up with promotions and we can come up with our own promotions. And I think most all of you are doing that. Promotions pay big money. And here's what is important is ingenuity. Being creative, coming up with something on your own, figuring out a way to make it work. The key phrase is right above number 11. We all need to belong to
something bigger than ourselves.
Something bigger than ourselves. That's right. And he gives an illustration about the first time that he stood up to give a testimonial. What happened?
It was a mess.
It was a mess. And he said it was so boring. If he had been in the audience, what? Hearing his own testimony. What did you remember what he said? It's not on your paper. I
think he said he would have left or he'd have went to sleep or something.
Yeah, that it was so boring. And then he talks about, you know, when he asked this new person to get up and the new person is real busy, or was it him talking about himself? That when you get more experience, well, didn't he say he got up there on the stage and he decided he would try something new and he moved away from the platform or from the podium? And
right.
What happened?
He said, how do I get back?
How do I get back to the podium? And what is the whole point of that? What is the whole point of that?
The whole point of that is being so comfortable with your story that it's not so routine that you feel like you have A, B, C, D steps to follow, that it's just part of you. It's part of it's just like your testimony about how you came to know the Lord. It's like, or how he delivered you from some horrible life experience. We all have a story. We all have a Plexus story, and we ought to be that comfortable with it that we don't feel like it has to be written on an index card.
Right. We're about to get cut off. Let's do this. We basically have page 6 to go, or no, 7. 6 and 7, and I don't want to not do those. But next week, let's do those, and I'll tell you what we'll do. Did you all get my note about ordering that book?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody get their book ordered, and let's just do chapter 1. First, we'll finish this.